Hello everyone, I am Nymrad Daulayan, and in this session, I'll be presenting my speech entitled, What if AI Never Got the Hype? Now I'm sure we're all at least vaguely familiar with what AI is. With the advent of AI products like ChatGPT, the world is becoming more aware of what AI is. But I would ask you, do you actually know how AI products like ChatGPT work? Well, you're all about to get a crash course. So AI uses something known as machine learning. Now this sounds like a fancy term, but trust me, it's pretty simple. Basically, these AIs have something called a training data. It is from this training data that they learn how to do specific tasks and generate certain outputs. This training data can be any large amount of information or data, and it's usually the internet that's used as training data. So, for example, if I were to ask ChatGPT to say, write me an essay on the history of rhetoric, well, yes, internet is usually the one used as training data. If I were to ask ChatGPT to write an essay about history of rhetoric, what it's going to do is it's going to look at its training data, which in this case is the internet. It's going to look at the internet and take all the information about the history of rhetoric, combine them all together, and present that as its output. Now it cannot be denied that AI has a lot of benefits and is a revolutionary technology. But the current way it's being used, it's being implemented by tech companies, has some real dangers to it. If you think the danger of AI is it taking over the world or something, no, it's not. The real danger is happening right now in ways accessible to everybody. The large amount of hype that AI has been getting has been incentivizing companies to add AI to all of their products, even if this AI is faulty, useless, or outright dangerous. Let me give you some examples. Search engines like Google and Microsoft Bing have started using AI search results. Now, the problem here is, remember what I said about training data? Well, these AI search engines use the internet as their training data. And the internet is, well, the internet. It's full with all sorts of misinformation. And the problem with AI is that it cannot tell what is true and what isn't. All it does is look at all the most common and most popular answers and present them to you, which is why we get results like this. One AI search result suggests to eat at least one small rock a day because rocks have minerals in it, but the AI doesn't know that these minerals aren't the kind we can ingest. Another AI search result says that you can add about 1/8 cup of non-toxic glue to your pizza sauce to give it more tackiness. And if you want something more dangerous, well, this AI search result says to smoke 2 to 3 cigarettes per day during pregnancy. Now, this all may seem silly to us now, but for a person who genuinely knows nothing about the topic, and that person goes to Google and search it up, if they are faced with these false and dangerous information, these dangerous AI search results, they won't be able to tell if it's wrong because they don't know anything about it. And even more, they're more likely to believe the AI results because Google and Microsoft keep advertising them as safe, secure, and accurate. And it's not just users of these AI products that are harmed, but also creators. We now have something called AI art generators. This is basically like ChatGPT, but instead of outputting text results, they output images and artworks. The most prominent example we have is something called Brownlee, made by the same people who made ChatGPT. Now Brownlee, all we have to do in here is input a prompt of anything you want it to make, any kind of artwork you want it to make, and it's going to generate it for you. The problem here comes from how it generates these artworks. So remember what I said about training data? Well, these AI art generators, just like ChatGPT, use the internet as their training data. So what they do is they take all the artworks and images they can find from the internet and use that, copy from that to make their new AI-generated art. And they do this without the consent of the artists who worked on those artworks. They're essentially stealing the artworks of other people. And companies can get even shadier than this. Recently, Adobe Photoshop secretly added in their terms of service a clause that allows them to take any work you've done using Photoshop and use it as training data for their own AI. And they did that without informing the users. And these problems with AI search engines and AI-generated art can get even worse. According to a very good research paper by AI ethicists and researchers from Google, they say that if AI continues to develop the way it is, unhindered and unfiltered, there will come a time when AI-generated art, AI-generated works will be so indistinguishable from human works. This is dangerous because, as I've said, AI is prone to misinformation. It can't tell what is true and what isn't. And if this misinformation that it generates becomes so believable, then it's going to be easier to spread and harder to dispute. And that's not all. This same research paper also says that the training data used by Google, ChatGPT, DALL-E, and Microsoft, they are all filled with biases. And these biases, in these training data, they found that there's a lot of misogynistic and racist data in those training data. And that misogyny and racism is being reflected in the results generated by the AI. Now, this isn't the AI's fault. This is just how it works. No, the tech companies, the ones who make these AI products, it is their responsibility to make sure that they safely and properly implement the AI they put into their products. But do they know that? Well, these AI ethicists that I mentioned before who wrote that paper, they went to Google and presented that research paper and voiced out their concerns with the dangerous practices they currently have. And guess what Google did? Yeah, they fired them. Google fired the AI ethicists for publishing that paper against them. And it's not just Google. Microsoft as well decided to fire their entire AI ethics team. Why? Because they didn't want to be hindered in the lengths they would go to implement and inject faulty and dangerous AI into all of their products. They didn't want to be stopped. But why is that? Why don't they want to be stopped? Why do they insist on adding AI to everything? Well, the answer is pretty simple. Money. Good old classic corporate greed. These companies answer to their investors. And these investors are nothing but a flock of blind sheep following whatever big trend is on the horizon. Right now, the biggest trend is AI. The investors will see that and they'll be like, I want AI on everything. And these companies, wanting to impress those investors and generate more money, well, they bow down to everything the investors say. And now they're adding AI to everything, even if it's dangerous. But why am I telling this? What's the point of knowing all of this? The point, the reason I'm telling you all of this, is to spread awareness. Knowledge of these dangerous practices is the start to action and change. The people who, when the people saw the dangerous Google AI search results and Adobe stealing the artworks of people without them knowing, they cried out and voiced their concerns and criticisms. And this backlash managed to make Google roll back their AI search feature and managed to make Adobe overhaul their terms of service. Because they spoke out, change has occurred. Which is why I'm telling you all this now. Because we need to know about all of these dangerous practices so that we too can be a force for change. AI can be such a beneficial technology. But if we continue to let these greedy corporations soil the future and works of AI, then there's nothing to be left for us but harm in the future. What they tend to forget is that we, as users and consumers, also have power over these companies. They wouldn't exist if we, the users, don't exist. So let's use that right. Speak out against these dangerous practices. Be a voice for change. That'll be all. Thank you.